Everybody, it's Chris. And today in Writing Across the Curriculum, I want to talk about one of the very specific ways that you can add writing into the science curriculum. In fact, it's already kind of written there. At the back end of almost every unit that I've put in there recently, I would say definitely in this semester, you're going to see something called a model tracker. And today I want to go over what are the different parts of that model tracker and how that relates to writing in the classroom. So you see here that I've got the model tracker on this slide so you can kind of follow along as I talk through. So the first thing that you're going to look at, this is to be done kind of at the end of the lesson. It is a good way to kind of build consensus as to what we learned in the lesson. So if you do the thing, you do a hand-on thing, or you read the thing, or whatever it is we have them do. In the end, they're going to attempt to figure something out. That's the biggest part of science, is the idea of sense making. So this writing assignment, or this summing up, is kind of asking them to figure out what is it that they actually made sense. So it's kind of a good way for them to keep notes in their lesson for every investigation that we do, all the way down as we try to figure out some of these phenomena. But in the end, it's really a good consensus building thing for your class. You can do this as a class. I imagine in the younger grades, you would focus more on some of the drawing things, and some of the later grades, I think you're going to focus more on the writing. So how does this work? The first column here, now, if it were me, if I were doing this, I would maybe print these out. In some of the older students, I actually created my slide presentations in an 8 by 11 so that they can be printed. So you can just physically give this to them. Or you can project it, or both. So if I project this on my whiteboard, I can write directly on, I think you can write directly on your Promethean board as to the answers of these things, or have kids do it individually the older they get. So the first column is what is the question that we're trying to solve? So this would be kind of your lesson level question. What is the thing we're trying to get them to figure out? Maybe we're trying to get them to figure out, how do we light a light bulb using a battery and a wire? Maybe we're trying to figure out why does the shadows appear to move across the ground throughout the day. Whatever it is we're attempting to figure out. The second column is, what did we do in order to figure this out? So this is more like, we looked at some pictures of shadows. We took a battery and a bulb and attempted to put them together. We read a article. The teacher read a book to me. I mean, this is the actual thing that you did. This will kind of clue the kids into remembering the lesson that they did. The third column is the most important in terms of writing. What did we figure out? So this is kind of where you can have a class discussion as to what were the main points that they needed to get from this lesson. And what are the things that they figured out? These are not things that you would give them. It's things that they figured out in the lesson. They figured out in the battery and the bulb that you needed to have a complete circuit. They may have figured out that the shadows move across the land because the sun moves across the sky. Those are things that they would write down. So you could have them write a short paragraph, you could have them write bullet points, you could have them write something. And this is a good idea, a good place to add that writing into your science. And then the fourth column is, of course, in science, we do a lot of modeling. And so this is a place where they can actually draw a picture to kind of show that. If I were doing a battery and a bulb, I might draw a picture of a battery with a wire and a light bulb, and then show the complete circuit and how the electrons maybe go around the circuit. If I'm looking at shadows during the day, maybe I draw a tree and I draw the shadow and I draw the sun, the angle of the sun moving in. Whatever it is that kind of gives them a visual representation of what they learned as well. So in the younger grades, you might lean more towards that visual, because they might not be writing yet. But in the older grades, they should really be doing the writing as well. So this is one example. You're kind of summing up the main ideas from the lesson. But this is one example where you would have them write in science class. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And I think this is a great way for us to both come to consensus and add some writing into science. See ya.